Welcome back to Decoristique, your cozy corner of the internet for all things vintage, classic, and rustic. Today, we're diving into the art of styling a rustic console table with a touch of vintage glam, perfect for adding that effortless everyday elegance to your home. Whether you're decorating an entryway, hallway, or living space, this styling guide will give you both inspiration and practical tips. If you're new here, I'd love to have you join our creative community. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future styling guides, tap the like button if you enjoyed today's video, and leave me a comment sharing your own console table styling ideas. Your input keeps this channel warm, welcoming, and brimming with fresh inspiration. So, grab a cup of tea, settle into your favorite chair, and let's start creating a console table look that feels rich with charm, warmth, and timeless beauty, without feeling overdone or fussy. Before we start with the decor, let's talk about the foundation, the console table itself. A rustic console table typically features natural wood tones, distressed finishes, and a sturdy, timeless design. Whether you choose a reclaimed wood piece or a farmhouse-inspired silhouette, the table's material and craftsmanship set the tone for the entire look. When mixing rustic and glam, I recommend choosing a table with a weathered finish but a refined shape. This balance ensures that when we introduce shimmering accents later, the combination feels intentional and harmonious rather than mismatched. If your space is smaller, a slimline console table with open shelving beneath can keep things feeling airy. For larger spaces, something with drawers adds functionality while keeping everyday essentials hidden away. A well-chosen color palette makes styling infinitely easier. For rustic glam, I suggest grounding your design with warm neutrals, think soft beige, creamy ivory, and gentle taupe. These hues naturally complement wood textures and allow metallic accents to stand out. Next, add in metallics. Gold or brass work beautifully for warmth, while silver or champagne tones bring a more modern glam touch. Whichever you choose, keep the metallics consistent throughout your styling to maintain cohesion. Finally, introduce a hint of rich, muted color to add depth, perhaps dusty rose, sage green, or midnight blue. These shades bring a sophisticated whisper of color without overpowering the rustic foundation. Every styled surface benefits from a focal point, the piece that first catches the eye. For a console table, this is often the wall decor above it. A vintage-inspired mirror, for instance, can reflect light and make the space feel larger, while also adding a glamorous shine. If mirrors aren't your preference, a rustic art piece or antique-inspired frame can work beautifully. Choose something that feels personal, whether that's a family heirloom or a flea market treasure you couldn't resist. Remember, the focal point sets the tone for everything else. If your wall decor has ornate gold details, that will influence your choice of accessories. If it's more weathered and raw, you might lean into softer metallics and textural contrast. When styling, varying heights create visual interest. Start with your tallest piece, perhaps a pair of candlesticks or a slender lamp with a linen shade, and place it toward one side of the table. This gives your arrangement a sense of balance without being overly symmetrical. Next, work your way down in height, introducing medium-sized objects like stacked books, decorative boxes, or a short vase filled with seasonal stems. This gradual height shift leads the eye smoothly across the display. Keep in mind that height doesn't have to come only from tall objects. You can also create visual height by placing smaller items atop risers, trays, or stacked vintage novels for a charming, collected look. A beautiful tray is more than just practical, it can bring order and elegance to your styling. In rustic glam decor, a wooden tray with metallic handles or a mirrored tray with a weathered frame strikes the perfect balance. Place the tray toward the center or one side of your console table to serve as a stage for smaller objects. This not only keeps the table from feeling cluttered but also makes dusting and rearranging a breeze. In your tray, group items with varied textures, perhaps a scented candle, a small ceramic vase, and a vintage perfume bottle, to create a layered but cohesive look. Lighting is key in creating atmosphere. A table lamp with a slightly aged brass base and a soft linen shade is perfect for rustic glam styling. It adds both function and a warm, inviting glow. For added elegance, consider pairing your lamp with a few tea light holders or mercury glass votives. Their soft shimmer at night enhances the glam element without feeling too formal. If your space is naturally bright, you can still use lighting decoratively. An unplugged vintage lamp or a decorative lantern with faux candles can create visual weight and charm. Nothing breathes life into a styled console table like plants or florals. For a rustic glam aesthetic, opt for arrangements that look slightly wild and organic: eucalyptus branches, dried hydrangeas, or blush-toned roses in a vintage vase. Mixing fresh and faux greenery is completely fine. The key is choosing realistic textures and colors. A brass or antique glass vase can give even a humble bunch of greenery a touch of glamour. If you prefer low-maintenance decor, dried arrangements are perfect. Pampas grass, preserved lavender, or wheat stalks offer earthy texture while still feeling elegant. A rustic glam console table is the perfect spot to display small treasures. This might be a collection of vintage clocks, ornate picture frames, or even antique glass bottles. The key is curation. Not every piece you own needs to be displayed at once. Rotate your collection seasonally to keep the look fresh and give each item its moment to shine. Grouping objects in odd numbers, like sets of 3 or 5, tends to look more natural and visually pleasing than even-numbered arrangement. Rustic glam decor thrives on texture. Mix wood, metal, glass, and fabric for a layered effect that feels rich and inviting. The rustic element might come from raw wood, while the glam touch could be from polished brass or crystal. Don't forget softer textures. A small linen runner, a velvet photo frame, or a chunky knit throw draped nearby can balance the harder surfaces. Texture also comes from finishes: matte, glossy, hammered, or distressed. Using a variety of these within your palette adds depth and sophistication. Perfect symmetry can feel formal, while total asymmetry can seem haphazard. For a rustic glam console table, I recommend a mix. Anchor one side with a taller object like a lamp, then balance the other with a grouping of smaller items. This approach creates visual interest while still feeling harmonious. The human eye loves a little imperfection. It makes the space feel more lived in and authentic. If you have matching items, you can still use them in asymmetrical ways, like placing one on the tabletop and the other on the lower shelf. Books are a secret weapon in console styling. Vintage hardcovers, especially with worn spines or gilded titles, instantly bring warmth and character. Stack them horizontally to use as pedestals for smaller decorative pieces, or line them vertically with a beautiful bookend for structure. For a glam twist, mix in books with metallic lettering or cover a few in neutral fabric to keep the color palette consistent. One of the joys of console styling is how easily it adapts to the seasons. In spring, you might add pastel florals. In autumn, dried leaves and warm amber glass. Seasonal touches don't need to be overwhelming. Just one or two changes can completely refresh the look while keeping the rustic glam core intact. For winter, think soft candlelight, pine sprigs, and perhaps a touch of velvet ribbon woven into the display. Not every inch of your console table needs to be covered. Negative space is just as important as the objects themselves. It allows the eye to rest and gives more importance to the items you choose to display. If you tend to over-decorate, try styling your table and then removing one or two items. Often, the result feels cleaner and more intentional. Think of negative space as the breathing room of your design. It's what keeps your rustic glam look from tipping into cluttered territory. If your console table has a lower shelf, treat it as an extension of the design rather than an afterthought. Large woven baskets are perfect for rustic charm and practical storage. You might also add a stack of oversized coffee table books or a decorative box to store smaller items. Keep the lower shelf less busy than the top. This creates visual grounding and prevents the overall look from feeling too heavy. Once everything is in place, step back and view your console table from different angles. This helps you catch any imbalances or awkward gaps. Don't be afraid to tweak. Styling is as much about experimentation as it is about rules. Swap out items until the arrangement feels both beautiful and personal. Remember, the goal is effortless elegance. If your console table makes you smile every time you walk past it, you've nailed the look. And there you have it, a rustic console table brought to life with vintage glam touches for everyday elegance. I hope these ideas inspire you to create a space that feels timeless, warm, and uniquely yours. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Decoristique. If you enjoyed this styling guide, please subscribe, like, and comment with your favorite detail from today's look. Your support means the world, and it's what keeps this channel thriving. Until next time, keep creating beauty in the everyday.